Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of Watch collection. Let's talk about something that I've been thinking more and more about, and and that is the whole process of getting involved in high horology or going through all of these different gradations, and instead try to focus on the the elements in watches that we really like and see where we can find them. And what this is, the whole idea is luxury watches have been based on the exclusivity, on being exclusive, which means only a few people can have them. And for collectors, we ought to consider inclusiveness, our inclusivity. Well, let me say hello first to Leah, and Kyle, and Brian, and Gilberto. How you doing, guys? Hi, Orange Hand. Now, hi, Tim. The the one of the reasons that I'm having it this time, I mean, at this hour. Normally, I have it at a later time, but I really wanted to include people from different parts of the world, primarily Asia. Now, this leaves out a big hunk of the United States. There are some hardy ones who'll be up at this hour on the East Coast, and same from the Midwest. But for the most part, they can be in bed still. But you guys are still up, so I know it's late for a lot of people. Hi, Williams watches. Rohit, hi. Jeffrey Blue. Okay. So anyway, so let's talk about looking at really expensive watches, finding some things that are that we really like, but are way too expensive. Let me start with something I've talked about before, and that is I don't know when I first discovered it, but when I first saw a what was it, a regulator, I thought, wow, what a cool watch. And the one I saw was one by Laurent Ferrier, and it was $30,000, $40,000. And so I figured, there's not much of a chance there. Hey, Stifle. Hey, Clyde, how you doing, man? The man from Moser. Uh, anyway, so in looking at all of these different kinds of things, that I thought, okay, well, I'd like to have that, but I don't have 40, $20,000 to buy it. And so, well, what was I like? So I started with a regulator, and uh, one of the things I liked in the regulator was that every single dial or every single timing element had a different dial or different subdial. And this is the one I found. This is one I got. Let me see if you can see it here. This is one from, it's really hard to show it. There we go. This one is from China, and it is called Perpetual Regulator. It cost me $200. I got a regulator. I'm not. I don't need the $40,000 one from Laurent Ferrier. Now, true, it's not the same quality and so on and so forth of a Laurent Ferrier, but the question is that if we're buying status, we should call it that. Okay. Sometimes I've done it. Well, the first one I got was a Patek Philippe, and the Patek Philippe's are good watches, but not that good. I mean, compared to some of the other ones I found that were really great. So I guess what I would like to ask you guys, hi NS something, um, William Rizzo, how you doing, man? Hey, you guys in the Keys are awake. Blaine, how you doing, man? Oh, good. Yeah, this is Blaine and you guys over. I guess it's late at night there. Here it's early in the morning. So anyway, I'm glad to be able to connect up with you. Hi, Paul. So let's some ideas saying, okay, well, I found this, and when I found it, I couldn't afford it, but so I started looking elsewhere. Let me give you another example, and this is one again I've talked about before, and that is a Remontois Egalite. Now, the first one that I found was in an FP Journe Chronomet Optimum. Couldn't afford it, still can't. Right, nothing's changed there. And then I saw it. I think I'm not sure where. It may have been a Longa, or it could have been something else. But I found some other ones, and more recently, I found one in Groenfeld, one I really liked, the Remontois 1941. All right, so I found all these things, you know, and well, I couldn't afford them either. However, I did find something that was sort of interesting, and this is like a little Remontois in a Jaja Lecoutre True Second, and it was just ones that kicks the second hand around. In fact, it may be more like in some ways the Groenfeld 1 Hertz, and that's okay too. That would be a what, that thing has got like 50,000 reasons I can't afford it. Okay, um, so let's see. Rohit, there may be other requirements. Originally, a regulator was used for something else. What the point is that I'm trying to get across is that if we can find something like it, it doesn't have to be exactly the same, but it needs to be like that. Uh, let's talk about finishing. Okay, I once read something that Vacheron and Constantin had about finishing. It said it takes a person 2 years to learn how to be a good finisher. The other day, I was down at the one of our one of our few local watch stores. The best watch in this area, excuse me, is around like a Rolex or something like that. You have to go down over toward Greenwich to really find everything, and into New York City to find everything plus everything. So anyway, here's the situation is that we we're limited by a number of things, and so we find, okay, well, what can work for us? Okay, it doesn't have to be a million different things. Going back to Ronit's question, what are the requirements for a regulator? For the most part, it used to be something that was the watchmakers would use, and it'd have this thing with separate dials for all the hands, so the watchmakers could set it. Okay, so that was what was going on, and but is it really? I mean, what else is there? If you take going back to finishing, I started talking about that this kid down at the my watch store. Well, it turns out that he was a certified Rolex watchmaker and a young guy, and so we got to talking watches. And what he said he had some uh, school watches and stuff that he wanted to show me. So the next time I went in there, I went to pick up. I had a band fixed on one of my watches. So I went in there and I'm looking at the back of this watch. Holy smoke! This guy's the finishing. He took something like an ETA 6498 or something like that. Took uh, the the plates and bridges off and hand beveled everything. That thing looks like $1 million. But is that $1 million work on it? There that So I began thinking, some of the guys who do the stuff with pretentious watchmakers. Now there's one guy, he took apart, I forgot what it was, could have been a Seagull, fixed that thing up, and man, he the finishing was fantastic. So we're saying, like, okay, well, I'll pay $20,000 and call it high horology because it has really good finishing. Maybe that wasn't the smartest thing we should be doing. And we're in looking at things, or look, for example, another one. This is why I like ETA 6498s -1. If you go look at the very top people, if you look at Philippe Dufour, if you look at Roger Smith, if you look at Kerry Wooten-Lonnen, if you look at FP Journe, all of these guys are making watches with lower frequencies. The and Moser, my God, Moser's they they are such good watches, but they have a low frequency. I just got one not long ago with a 7 day charge to it, which goes about 10 days. They always go more. They always deliver more than they promise. And so, all right, well, that thing's got a 2.5 hertz. And if you look at a 6497 or 98 dash one, they have the 2.5 hertz. The dash twos have 3 hertz. So we can find these things, and the the question is, we're going to find. Hey, Bruce, you're waking up early. Abdul. Okay, I think the movement, case quality, fit, and so on and so forth. I agree. Those things are always important. Um, okay, does finishing make the components more vulnerable to warping and breakage? I don't think so. I see what finishing started off as was that if you finished them, they weren't as likely to get corrosion and rust and things like that. Now, with a waterproof watch, I mean, the really waterproof watches, that's not a problem. Hey, I'm in reviews. So, Carl M., how you doing, man? Anyway, see, so this is what I'm saying is that we really are. I mean, are we getting snookered? Some of the people are saying, "Well, this is, excuse me, this is the foundation of the horology and yada yada yada," and this is what they say, and you don't know what you're talking about. That may be true. That I don't know what I'm talking about, but I know what I want, and I think that this is probably true for you guys too. I mean, my mother doesn't dress me anymore. I know what I like to wear. Some guys want their mother to dress them for the rest of their lives, not me. So we can make up our own mind, but what we can learn from is high quality from the high quality watches. Now, I'm not talking about the ones with the best advertising campaign, and people go out and they say, "Oh, it's an X watch." And here's why, because here's a soccer player or a movie star, somebody who says it is. Oh my God, what do they know? Yeah, really. I mean, we spend a lot of our time playing with watches, collecting watches, paying way too much for watches. But that makes us happy. Um, okay, so let's see. The one thing wrong with Moser, Archie likes it. Oh God. Well, I'll have to get rid of all my Mosers or Archie. um, anyway, okay. So we're looking at these things, and let's talk about Mosers, for example. Now, I'm not rich like Clyde. All right, so I have to find Mosers where I can find, all right, that are affordable. Fortunately, they're not. They didn't have the right advertising. The CEO man, who I really like, went out and insulted everybody by telling the truth. Yeah, that my favorite watch he made, they pulled from SIHH when he had I forget what he called it. It was some kind of, it took every stereotype and every watch, and they actually built a watch, and they made him get rid of it because it was too close to home. But see, those were popular. So that's changing now. If you have one, good for you, because whoop, they're going back up again because people are discovering what they are. But if you look for stuff before they're discovered, you can find some great stuff. Okay, let's see. What are you guys talking about? I am a hand wound kind of guy. Me too, Brian. I like the hand wounds. It's sort of hand wound and stick shifts. To me, you can feel it more, and you get to play with it more. Now, I have some automatics. This is my Parmigiani. Oh God, this is kind of, what is it? Parmigiani Fluier hemispheres. This is my hemisphere, and it's got a bunch of gizmos on it for, I can tell the time zone. So by looking at this, I have it set to Dresden time and my local time, so I know what Rolf Lang Dresden is up to. Okay, so what do you guys? High quality does not equal haute jury. I agree with that, Blaine. but all haute horlogerie should be of the highest quality. Yeah, I know what you mean. But they're, so what is the highest quality? One of the things that's really interesting is the really excellent watchmakers from Asia that are starting to show up now. Uh, if you go to I forgot the name of it. It was that independent watchmakers that they only take the very best watchmakers. People like F.P. Jorn, Peter Speak Marin. Oh God, all of these really fabulous independent watchmakers are part of it. Kerry Voutilanen. And so if you look at these guys, and now a number of guys from Asia are starting to show up. I've seen some of their watches. My God, the I think a Koei who has a watch called the Tsunami. Huh, my God, that's a beautiful watch, beautifully made, hand done, everything you'd want from the most famous English or Swiss or German watchmaker. You're getting from these guys. They had, what the idea is before they catch on to overcharging is to see if you can get one. But again, we're going back to what do we like? Let's take some things that people like. You like a chronograph. People like chronographs. Okay, so you can find one with a good chronograph for a lot of money or a little money. One with a lot of money with a fabulous chronograph is the Moser Streamliner. All right, with a movement by Egenhor. All right, so on the other hand, though, you can find all kinds of ones with the that are running on a Valjoux 7750. I think that's it. Um, that are at great prices, and if that's what you want, okay. So, are you going to be any happier with a Streamliner than you are with, let's say, a Hamilton that's got a Valjoux 7750 in it? If you can't afford the Streamliner, why worry about it? Okay. To me, I'd be happier with a Streamliner, but if I was really into a chronograph and I didn't have much money, which is true, we're all not rich like Clyde. I keep pointing that out. Okay. All right. So what else you got? Hi, Razun. How you doing, man? Um, let's see what. Hi, Sarem. One of the things I tried to put the times out when I made the announcement of having it this morning. I tried to include India, which has a half hour, which I think is sort of cool. You could see you there at 9:30, and you're there at 10. You're here already. Okay, let's see what else you got. Um, I'm currently looking at for a 7753. Yeah, those 7753s, I saw some really interesting watches with a 7753. The sun's starting to come up through my curtain, and I'll go blind soon, but I'll keep talking. Um, hey, Geezer, how you doing, man? Um, okay, I'm thinking about a Zenith El Primero. Okay, a Zenith El Primero is another one of those watches. Man, I tell you, Tim, hi, Tim, how you doing, man? Uh, those are really great watches, the El Primeros. Tim's here. Tim knows this. There's some really great watches from Gerard Perregaux. There's another one that people overlook, but you don't have to pay a fortune for them. And so this is what, again, trying to get back, trying to stay focused on this. Hey, Javier, the focal point that I'm trying to stay on is that what is it that we really have value for, and let's see if we can find that what we have value for without paying too much for it, and are paying more than we can afford. Now this is not going to ruin anybody's business, because a lot of times, everything from Rolex to Patek Philippe to on up the food chain, you're going to find watches that some people will never buy and can never afford, and that's okay. But at some point, you're not buying a great watch; you're buying status, or you're going to show people stuff. I do that as much as possible, but you got to have a lot of money. So I get as far as I can. Either that, or I think more importantly is learn as much as you can and find some really good buy. Um, and that I've been pretty successful at as well. Okay, 7750 is fantastic because it feels like the machine is alive on your wrists. The whoosh whoosh of the rotor. Oh man, that sounds like a lot of fun. In fact, that sounds like so much fun it's illegal. Whoosh whoosh. I, I like that red zone. Uh, this, but see, that doesn't cost you a fortune to find something you can really enjoy. Um, you know, what's your favorite caliber ever? Geezer, that's a good question. Um, hey, Chris. Let's see. My favorite caliber is probably called the Caliber 6 by Lang and Heim. This is the one that Marco Lang built. I have that, and the reason I like it, I can see everything. They have this. I think the gears, a lot of the other parts are made of gold. It has a big diamond to look at, but that's just part of it. The real part is you can. It has this little thing called a trigonal bridge. So a lot of these things wouldn't cost a fortune to put in a really good movement. Okay. Let's see, what are some other movements I like? I like all of the movements that Moser has, especially the slower ones. I like the movement, and one movement I like a lot is the movement that FP Journe in my Chronomet Souverain. It has double barrels, and you can set up double barrels in sequence or serial or parallel. What parallel does, and this is, you don't find a lot of them, but FP Journe does it. It sort of shares the work of turning the gears instead of having one barrel unwind and do it, and then the other one unwind like they have in serial. These guys work it together so that there's less stress on the whole system. Neat thing, but you don't find it too often. Okay, those are a couple of my favorite. I think a watch case back on such should have fun owning a watch, especially manual wind watch. Okay, um, a Harbring. Yeah, I like Harbrings too. I have the same point. What's okay? Let's see. What are some of the ideas you have? Clutch to avoid overwinding. Leia, from my understanding, most watches have some kind of clutch. Um, but that's still a good idea. Caliber 1304. Tim, what is the caliber 1304? And see, 13, oh, from FPGA. Yep. That's it, Gilberto. Um, yep, that's the one. I'm interested to know, why do top watchmakers try to engineer out that rotor feel on an automatic watches? Razon, I think there's a couple things they're trying to do. One is the peripheral rotor, and then you have, so on the case back, so you can see the the movement, which is pretty nice. Now this one right here, this one's really funny. It's got a, oops, you can't even see it. I can show it that way. This one has an off center um, setup in the back because the movement extends way into the part that you can't see, but you can see the rotor. Now, um, I, the my hearing's shot. It always has been pretty crummy, so I don't hear a lot of stuff. And I don't, I can feel the rotor, I guess. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't notice it. Same thing with the micro rotor. Those things are pretty small too. But this is one of the things though. If you like it, find a watch with it. If they take it out of really expensive watches, okay, that's all right. But if it's not something that floats your boat, why bother with it? Okay, the vintage hand winders don't say you really have to pay attention to tension. Okay. Um, My Prim does have a clutch. I normally associate clutches only with chronographs. Gilberto, same here. I don't, they talk about a lot about the vertical clutches, and they're really cool looking with the way they're set up. Um, the good thing about it is they have, I forgot what the good thing about it was, but they have a better grip, I think. The bad thing is that they make your watch fatter. And so if you like a thinner watch and you want a chronograph, maybe a vertical clutch isn't the best thing to have, and you need a what are those? It's not called horizontal clutch instead. I don't know. I mean, I'm really not into chronographs, and I don't know that much about them other than people have them and they rarely use them. I've got one chronograph and I almost never use it. In fact, even a secondhand, I rarely use a secondhand. This one's got secondhand, and I can't ever remember having, okay, better time this for, all right, guys, we're going over the top. What do you use it for? I don't know. Let's synchronize our watches. Hey, Carl, Newfoundland is also half hour off EST. That's right. Newfoundland is another one of those cool places. You know, I living in Eastern Standard Time. It's 5 hours to GMT and beyond, and 6 hours to Dresden, Geneva, and Paris. Otherwise, I really don't know a lot, but I do know that it's important to have these earlier for Asia. Um, okay, let's see. Brian, let's see. The ETA 28012 doesn't have a clutch, but has a stop feature. Okay, now here's something that's interesting about a stop. The stop feature on a what they call hacking. Um, the head of Patek Philippe at one time was told by an engineer that they're not the best thing for a watch, a stop second, and so Patek Philippe's don't have them. Now, on the other hand, these my my German watch, my Langenheim, has this beautiful one. The thing comes down and boom, stops it. This other new one I got, that I'm gonna have a video on Monday, also has them. Um, okay, if you want to make sure your computer clock is right, get a stop second, and you can time it and say, okay, and then twist your computer, get the times right. I don't know. I guess one of the things a lot I kid about accuracy, because if we want accuracy, we can grab our phones or something like that that are, it's streamed to an atomic clock somewhere. But one of the things that I think is important is that accuracy tells you how your watch is doing. And so if your watch is wildly off accuracy wise, it needs some kind of adjustment. That's another thing too I wanted to mention. If we're looking for trying to find something that would be valuable, but we don't have to pay a lot of money for, is a free sprung balance. Uh, I found out that every single Rolex has a free sprung balance, which I thought, wow, I didn't know that. Yet they have 4 hertz, like beat them like a rented mule. On the other hand, you have all of these top watches have the slower ones and the big balance wheels. I love those things. Okay, I would take what comes out of a Patek and with a grain of salt. They have not been great innovators of engineering for a long time. I will say nothing. Know nothing. I will say nothing about that. I have my Patek Philippe is from 1968. When I wind it, it feels like I'm winding jewels. It's the most nice watch to wind, but I'm afraid to wear it because I think it's just somebody told me, well, you got a Patek Philippe. Those are you don't wear those every day. Okay, and I believed him. I don't think that's true. I think a lot of our watches are a lot tougher than we give them credit for. So, hey, Marcel, what's up? DIN, Deutsches Indices Norm. Okay. What I mean by a stop feature, I'm talking about winding the mainspring. Yeah, uh, Brian, the from what I have learned was that you don't overwind a watch, and maybe uh, people talk about that, but I don't know if you really do or not. I think that may be one reason. I was on my Langenheim. I had it all wound up and was doing it, and it stopped. It wouldn't start again after I unwound it. And I thought, well, maybe I did overwind it, So I'm not sure about that. That's something I think it's really interesting. Excuse me. Okay. Well, listen, guys, my time is up. Um, and my wife has chores for me, so I gotta go. And we'll try to do these early morning ones some more if you like them, and then I can get to see everybody from Asia. Take care, and tomorrow we have a really interesting, a really different kind of watch collection that's going to be reviewed. Hope to see you there. Until then, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci.